See, I had kind of a weird idea for this week where we usually watch old TV shows, but I was on a bus last night, just taking the night bus in South Korea, and they have really good internet on the buses. So I was on the bus and I was watching music videos, and I was watching the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and I was just thinking how weird it is that of the bands of my era, since I was a teenager in the '90s, if I had to guess, like who's the band from back then that was gonna survive, that was gonna be like the David Bowie or the Rolling Stones that just keeps going. I would not have picked the Red Hot Chili Peppers. They're a fine band, but I wouldn't have thought they would be the one. But I realized as I was sitting there on the bus, I'm like, they were the one. Man, like all those other bands from when I was a teenager, most of them didn't make it out of the 90s. Either the people in the band died or the band just stopped being popular, or, it's just how it is. Where the Chili Peppers just never stopped. And I kind of thought this could be kind of a neat little thing because I realized you can go through the whole history of this band just with some music videos. Like I picked like 7 music videos, so it adds up to about half an hour, about the same as if we were to watch a TV show. But I think this is kind of cool because you can really chart the history of this band and that it goes all the way from the first one I got is from 1988 and it goes all the way to 2022. And this band is still going strong. So I just think it might be kind of neat just to go down memory lane. I'll tell you a little bit about the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So I suppose that'd be the first thing off the top of your head. You got any, that obviously wasn't your scene. Your musical scene was before this, but you got any knowledge of this band? Does it bring anything to mind?
I remember, I can't think of any of their music right now off the top of my head. You kind of caught me off guard, but I definitely remember the Red Hot Chili Peppers being a red hot band around our house for quite a few years, and they were good. But to actually say something that they might have produced right now, I can't think of it right off the top of my head.
Yeah, and it's possible as we go through here, maybe you'll recognize some of these songs. I'm not sure, but I think probably the big one, if there was a song that you might know, it's that song "Under the Bridge." Under the bridge downtown is where I drew some blood. Music episodes.
I know that song. I just didn't know the words.
Right? Yeah, I mean, I feel like that is the one that kind of, keeps getting played on the radio. But yeah, and I mean, it's not that this band is still as big as they were back then. Obviously, in the 90s, they were bigger. But it's just impressive that they still put out albums that still, go to number one and still have hit singles. And I mean, I guess we'll get into this when we get into their newer stuff. But even the fact that they're still that same type of band, they're still a guitar band, where we're just in an era now where popular music doesn't even have guitars anymore. That's not cool. That's not a thing that people are into. But it's like the exception to the rule is the Chili Peppers because they're the Chili Peppers, You can't deny the Chili Peppers. They've been around forever. And they're still like, that they're still relevant to the level that they are is pretty amazing. They are a great band, but they're also a very silly band. And like, again, I just never would have picked them. It's strange that they're the ones. When we do these musical episodes sometimes, I know you've mentioned before that you're not always necessarily a huge fan of music videos, because it is so distracting and it's kind of better to just listen to the songs for the song.
Yes, I have said that.
And I don't disagree because especially some of these videos are real out there. They're definitely going to distract from the songs. But I think what's neat about this is also starting from 1988 and going all the way to 2022, we're going to get to watch these guys age, over the next half hour. So it's kind of neat in that way too. Like the specifics of what's going on in the videos, we can talk about it if there's something that comes up. But more, it's just like neat to see, wow, there's those guys. Because in real time, you don't necessarily notice so much. They're just the Chili Peppers. But when I watch these all back to back to back, because this was what I did on the bus after I had this idea. It's like, let's go on a little, is it a long bus ride? I was an hour and a half on the bus, so I just went through all these things. And it's like, man, you get to just watch the whole chronology. And it's, I don't know, it's just neat.
That's a fair comment, but now, I don't want to leave anyone with the impression that I'm anti-video, but I am anti-video if it is not relevant to the music. There are some videos out there that are just fabulous and really enhance the words that the singer is promoting. But there's some that have no relationship at all. They're just a bunch of crap that somebody put in there to sell. And those ones, yeah, I'm saying, you know what? Let the music stand on its own. Forget all that bullshit that you're throwing out there just to sell a song or to have somebody look at it. Anyway, the end of that comment.
Well, that's kind of relevant here too, because there is, of these 7 videos, there's only one where I can really say it's like a legitimately very good music video that really does fit with what's going on. Only one of the 7. And a lot of the rest of these is just wild stuff happening. But even that is kind of appropriate because the different eras of this band are really different. So to start off with that, this band actually, I mean, a lot of those 90s bands, you know, they were obviously bubbling up in the 80s. They didn't just come out of nowhere. And the Chili Peppers even started a little bit before a lot of the other popular bands of the 90s. They started way back in 1982. And they had a guitarist, a guy named Hillel Slovak, and they put out like 3 albums with him. And I wasn't really that familiar with them back then. And they were kind of a big deal in LA.
Baby.
No, obviously. But there were things in the 80s that I was, you know, starting to become aware of. I didn't really get into music until the 90s, but the Chili Peppers were not one of them. But I don't think it was just me. I think they just weren't big nationally at all. They were kind of known in Los Angeles, but they were kind of like just a party time funk band. So that's where these early videos, they're just wild, wacky stuff happening. But it's kind of appropriate for these early songs because they were just a wild, wacky band. Like the famous visual of them from back then was them with socks on their cocks. Like they would perform with wearing nothing but socks on their dicks because it's as naked as you could get without being naked. And Hillel specifically gave them this like funk style that they kind of carried on with. He really was kind of the one who set them in motion with this like cool funk band feeling. But they had like album titles like the Uplift Mofo Party Plan, just weird nonsense. And sadly, Hillel passed away in 1988 of a drug overdose. But just to represent that era, you know, we're gonna kind of pass past that because that wasn't the era that I knew them, and I don't know much about them from back then. But I figure we can put in one song though, just here's the beginnings. Here's what they were doing in the 1980s. So this is a cover of a Stevie Wonder song called Higher Ground. And I mean, for what it is really awesome. It's a super excellent cover, super funky, super fun. But that's what this band was when they started. You know, where as good as it is, you could tell like this wasn't going to be the band that lasts for decades and takes over the world. This is just some weird Los Angeles funk band, but it's still pretty cool.
version of that song.
Yeah, it is really nice. And yeah, I mean, that's catchy as heck. And like, it's such a cool band where it's like, oh, yeah, this is fun. This is awesome. But at the same time, you really can't imagine that version of this band. Like, like 40 years later, like, wow, did you hear that new Chili Pepper song? Like, it's pretty clear that this version of the band had a definite shelf life. It was just like young guys making crazy music. And it was pretty cool. But I do feel like if that's where they had stayed, they would have been just yet another one of the bands that didn't quite survive, is my guess. But it is, for what it is, super awesome.
And if you're doing what you're doing, like doing a history of that band, that has very good imagery of life in the 1980s. Long hair, lots of color, lots of foolishness, like the guy wearing the pants that had all the toys sewn onto his pants. Just the clothing style. A very, very, here's 1980. Here you go. Opulence. Yeah, that was okay.
And that's a good example, too, what you're saying about just weird nonsense music videos. That is definitely what that is, but that was good for that song, for what that is. And for this band, like that's appropriate to them. And there's stuff that obviously is going to keep coming up. But one of the big ones is the lead guy, his name is Anthony Kiedis. Anthony Kiedis without a shirt on. Or really the whole band without shirts on, but especially him. Get used to that, because that's not going anywhere. But I can tell you briefly, too, about, so the band is, like I said, Hillel Slovak, that sadly passed away. But even though their style is going to change as we go, apparently he is the one that kind of got them started on this kind of funk style. And they always have kept that. So they've kept, the core of what he kind of set them off on. The drummer, Chad Smith, I'm sure there's Chili Peppers fans. I'm going to get details not exactly correct. So I'm sure there's people that could correct my stuff. But from what I understand, he was a little older than them, the drummer Chad, and he moved to LA to either be an actor or be in a band. And then he got in a band that was doing pretty good and good enough. And he was always like, he didn't get into like all the drug problems and stuff that this band had. This band is like huge drug problems throughout all of their history. But as far as I know with him, he was just like, reliable drummer guy. And he's always been, and he still is. So that's his story. Then the bass player, his real name's Michael Balsary, but everyone calls him Flea, like Flea. And him and Anthony grew up together in Los Angeles and went to school together and stuff. And they've just been friends since they were kids. And he is, it's funny because like they're a really good band. And I like how Anthony Kiedis sings, but it's a very distinctive style that kind of comes from him not being that good, Like, I think he's self-conscious about it, too. People say live he's not that good. Like, he's just not a naturally great singer. He's just a unique singer. Whereas Flea is, like, a world-class bass player. Everybody recognizes that he's, like, one of the best bass players that has ever been. So it's weird that the virtuoso guy is the bass player, and then later they get this new guitarist who also is. So should we move on to the official second era?
Okay.
So this next song, this was the first time I heard of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and this song is called Taste the Pain. So I saw the name come up on Much Music, because we're Canadian, and it says Taste the Pain by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. And I laughed, because I'm like, that's what? Like, I thought the whole thing was like just a joke band. Like, is this going to be a song about eating chili peppers? Why is it called Taste the Pain and the band is called Red Hot Chili Peppers? It's just like, this must be one of these like, just silly novelty bands. But then the song came on and I was like, wow, this song is excellent. I love this song. So this one is from 1989. Hillel passed away and they got their new guitarist, this guy John Frusciante, who is younger than the rest of them. And he was basically their number one fan. He went to all the shows in LA. He knew how to play all the songs and he's just excellent. So they brought him in. And I think it's safe to say that John Frusciante is, obviously it's a group effort, but it's really because of this guy that the Chili Peppers survived for so long. Because you're going to be able to tell immediately that things are different with this guy in the band. Because that Stevie Wonder cover, just imagine 3 albums of that stuff. Every single song was just bow, 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 bow. That's all they did. And right away, as soon as Frusciante comes in, this song is like half and half, where it's like a kind of like, I can't date this one woman. I know she's trouble. It's going to ruin my life. I got to taste the pain. I got to walk away from this situation. So the verses are really calm and contemplative and not like anything that the Chili Peppers had done before. But I don't think they wanted to throw off their old fans. So the choruses are back to old Chili Peppers, back to Funktown and whatever. And the music video is still just, this is not a popular band yet. They don't have a big budget, just weird, cool looking graffiti and guys dancing around without their shirts on. But this was the song that made me go like, hey, who is this band? Because this song is super good. So yeah, this is Taste the Pain from 1989.
All righty.
Flat on my back in the loneliest frown. I stare in the ceiling 'cause I cannot fall asleep tonight. And no, I'm not that tall. Headlights flash across my bedroom wall. The crying eyes open 'cause I cannot fall in love with you. I know I'm not that tall. Walk away and taste the pain. Come again some other day. Aren't you glad you weren't afraid? But how the price gets paid. Walk away and taste the pain. Come again some other day. But aren't you glad you weren't afraid? But how the price gets paid. Busted into a like a reader stared. I cannot drink because my vocal strings. I love sick from you. That would never do. Open my mouth, I couldn't make a sound. I could not scream, I could not shout it out to you. Another thing to do. Walk away and taste the pain. Come again some other day. Well, aren't you glad you weren't afraid? When how the price gets paid. Walk away and taste the pain. Come again some other day. Well, aren't you glad you weren't afraid? When how the price gets paid. This may come as a shocking surprise. I have to take a walk, I have to kiss it goodbye. Goodbye, my love. Goodbye, my love. I am not tonight. Walk away and taste the pain. Come again some other day. Well, aren't you glad you weren't afraid? But how the price gets paid. Walk away and taste the pain. Come again some other day. Well, aren't you glad you weren't afraid? But how the price gets paid. How the price gets paid. Well, I got to pay the price. I think I walk away. Never going to Chile with my husband. I believe in the
So I know it's also kind of weird just to hear songs the first time. I'm not a big first time guy. I really prefer to listen to a song a bunch of times and let it sink in before I really decide what I think about it. But how'd Taste the Pain grab you first time?
I can see a difference. I can definitely see a difference in the style. I think it would have been better if they didn't have all that yeah stuff in the middle of it. He has gorgeous hair, though.
He sure does. Yeah, I kind of agree. Like, those are my favorite parts, is the quieter parts. And in fact, that song, they cut it off a little earlier in the music video. On the album version, that cello that starts playing and the quiet finale part like goes on longer. And I was like, oh, it's a shame that part's not in there. But even, like that Flea breaks out the trumpet in that one.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I was
that's
going
where
to say, I like that. I like the horn in there. That was a nice touch. It just came out of nowhere. You weren't expecting it at all.
And definitely, like, this song, it is like straddling the two sides, where it does feel like they just kind of didn't want to go all the way into a new direction. Because, like when they paint themselves up in the Dayglow paint and he's beating his chest and stuff, like they used to have old songs like "Fight Like a Brave," like that style. But yeah, then there's this quieter part about like, I have to take a walk, I got to kiss it goodbye, So yeah, that's the weird in between two worlds type of songs. But then for the next song, we're gonna radically evolve super fast. So I saw that song, I had it recorded off Much Music, so I would just play the tape. So I mentioned to my dad, because he was always, going around town, going to used record stores and used bookstores and stuff. So I was like, hey, while you're on your travels, there's this band called the Red Hot Chili Peppers. If you happen to see any used Chili Peppers cassettes kicking around or whatever, keep your eye peeled. See if you can, grab me something from them, because they seem cool. And what I didn't know is their new album, the one after that, the 1991 album, had just come out. So that's what he found. Good old dad got me that Chili Peppers album. So I was like, oh, sweet, Chili Peppers. Oh, but that song I like isn't on this one. But hey, that's fine, whatever. Let's put it in. Let's see. And this was their album, Blood Sugar Sex Magic, that has Under the Bridge. And this was their big breakthrough. This is when they became a huge band. And Under the Bridge is a really good song. But I'm going to play you the secret best song, the song that I think is the best song, but wasn't a huge hit, but is an awesome song. And like, this is nothing at all like those other songs. This song is, I guess the best thing to do is just to listen to it, but it's sort of a similar type of song. It's also a relationship song. In this case, it's more of like why am I, all this girl's trying to do is help me and I'm not treating her that well type of song. But it's got flute in it, and even just the whole style of it. This song is fucking awesome. It's called Breaking the Girl. And then as far as music videos go, I guess we'll see if you like it or not. I think it's pretty cool. But even the music video is also a big change from like, let's just dance around. Now they're actually doing something in this one.
I know this song, so this one I do know.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's a goodie.
Really do friends come and go.
That is a great song. I like the sound. It is so different than anything they'd ever done before. I find that video does not do a damn thing to enhance that song. That video could have been put in. I mean, it was an interesting video, no question. They've done some really artistic stuff in there, but it really doesn't relate to the song. They could have used that video in anything. Rather
Yeah,
slow
that's
pace because the motion in it is slow. But I mean, you couldn't really do that with a real live action, fast moving song. But it really could have been done for anything. But the song itself, beautiful song, and maybe it's because I remember it from when you guys used to play it. But it's not just that; it's got a nice sound, and it's a different sound. It's unique. I could see that being the kind of song. It doesn't sound like everybody else, and that would be the kind of song where somebody might say, if these guys keep developing this way, they'll last.
Yeah, I feel like it's different enough that maybe, if that just came on the radio, maybe you'd recognize his singing voice. But if you didn't, I don't know that the average person would clue in like that's the same band. That's how different that one is. And yeah, I'm surprised that you remember it, but I'm kind of glad that you do, because definitely even when I was 13 years old, I was already a burgeoning little music dickhead, but I definitely always thought like, yeah, that's the one. That's the song from that album. I mean, there's a bunch of good songs on that album, but that's the secret best song. And they definitely still had like all of their funk type stuff. Like the other big famous song was "Give It Away, Give It Away, Give It Away Now." That was more like their old stuff. But yeah, it does remind me a bit of, I don't know, maybe David Bowie's not a good example because he changed so radically, but maybe more like with the Beatles, how just when the Beatles stopped just doing 8 days a week type songs and started branching out a little, that's kind of how the Chili Peppers seem to me, where, still the bass line is still, let's just write catchy songs that are similar to what we did before, but every once in a while, let's do something different. Let's branch out a little and let's just overall expand what we can do. And yeah, I definitely don't think it's coincidence that this all happened after John Frusciante joined the band, because he's, again, just one of these like crazy guitar geniuses. Like they really, they picked well when they got that guy. And as for the video, I mean, yeah, it's very much like a dance recital or something, like it does feel like you're going to your artsy friend's performance space and watching them do interpretive dance. It's like, again, silly in a different way, but I kind of dig it. It's kind of cool.
But they did try to do, I mean, they were obviously trying to develop some kind of an artistic flow with that video, with the rocks and the colors that almost, they were like the oranges and the yellows, but they blended in with the rocks. And then the guy, with the big flowers on his ears, but it really had no relationship to the song at all. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it wasn't a good video. It was certainly different. And obviously some artistic bent to it. They were trying to develop some kind of a theme throughout it, but it wasn't a theme that related to that music at all, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and like I said, I think there's only one video coming up that is that way, and it's not this next one. So yeah, this was 91 that came out. This band became super enormous, one of the biggest bands in the world. Everything went crazy. And genius John Frusciante, who helped, bring them to this new golden era, he left. He's like, I'm getting out of here. I don't like being this famous. I don't like touring. I don't like this whole life. And he started developing his own drug problems, and he went off to do solo albums, which some of them are great. And nowadays his new solo albums are really good. But the ones from that era, man, they are weird. They are weird as hell. He was just like this drugged out guy in some, hotel in Amsterdam doing solo albums by himself, and just it's pretty weird stuff. But he left the Chili Peppers. So the question for them is, now what do we do? We're one of the biggest bands in the world, but our guitarist left. And this is the era where they hired this guy, Dave Navarro, who was super handsome, super famous, and also a really good guitarist, but he was already famous he was in another band called Jane's Addiction. Didn't really seem like he fit with the vibe. He's just this cool, handsome, famous guy that they brought in. And definitely like this next era is remembered as kind of like the least authentic era of the Chili Peppers. Like even in the early days when they were just dicking around, they were still being authentic to themselves. They were just young men who wanted to dick around. And then, like Under the Bridge is a whole song about where Anthony used to go to buy drugs under the bridge downtown, and Breaking the Girl, these like serious songs. This era in the middle of the 90s, kind of all that was gone. They were just a rock band. Let's just keep on going. Let's just bring in this new guy. Let's just, let's just sell some records. Let's keep touring. But in hindsight, it's a great album. It is awesome. I listen to this album all the time. It's so catchy. But I think you're going to see what I mean with this next video. It's called Aeroplane from 1995. Catchy as hell, like a perfect pop radio single. But anything that was like, this new move to a more artistic Chili Peppers, forget about that. We got no time for that. So this is what was happening when Frusciante was not in the band.
Okay.
I like pleasure spiked with pain, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Somber, sweet and sour Jane, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Pleasure spiked with pain. That motherfucker's always spiked with pain. Looking in my own eyes, hey Lord, I can find the love I want. Someone better slap me before I start to rust, before I start to decompose. Looking in my rearview mirror, looking in my rearview mirror, I can make it disappear. I can make it disappear. Have no fear. I like pleasure spiked with pain, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Somber, sweet and sour Jane, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Pleasure spiked with pain. That motherfucker's always spiked with pain. Sitting in my kitchen, hey girl, I'm turning into dust again. My melancholy baby, the star of Mazzy must push her voice inside of me. I'm overcoming gravity. I'm overcoming gravity. It's easy when you're sad to be. It's easy when you're sad. Sad like me. I like pleasure spiked with pain, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Somber, sweet and sour Jane, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Pleasure spiked with pain. Just one note can make me float away. One note from the song she wrote could fuck me where I lay. Just one note can make me choke, one note that's not a lie. Just one note could cut my throat, one note could make me die. I like pleasure spiked with pain, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Somber, sweet and sour Jane, and music is my aeroplane. It's my aeroplane. Let's spike with pain.
That was a big radio hit.
Oh, you remember that one too? Nice.
Yeah. That was a big
Yeah, I mean-
radio hit.
It is catchy as crap. Just the other day, again, after I got off the bus, when I was doing the walk part after that, I listened to that whole album again, and it's like, it's so good. It's so catchy. But that is, what it is. It's like, it kind of feels like Red Hot Chili Peppers Incorporated had to keep going. Like, let's do it. Let's make some more songs. But it is a great album.
But they didn't have a lot of, I mean, that song doesn't have a whole lot of depth to it.
Yeah, it's almost funny that one little part where it calms down and it quiets down and just one note could cut my throat. And even that, it's like that one little moment of like, let's try to be a little deep, but never mind, aeroplane, dancing ladies, fucking, let's do it. And like that video in particular is like so garish and just like, what even is this? This was just like they had a big budget now from the record label and they're like, I don't know, let's just do a bunch of crazy crap, whatever.
Yeah, the only relationship connection to an airplane is that at the very end they've got those kids dressed up in the little airplane outfits. But other than that, you got the swimmers, you've got the girls in the golden lame, and obviously sex sells. I mean, those girls are just always like sticking out the boobs and sticking out the bum and dancing seductively. Hasn't got a hell of a lot to do with airplanes.
Yeah, and you can definitely make the argument that it's like ironic that, they're like, hey, let's just do the big, if we're going to be a big band, let's just be a big band. Let's do it, But that is still what it is. It is still that, So it's this era that I think is unfairly maligned. It's kind of remembered as the nadir of the Chili Peppers, like the quote unquote worst era. But, and I can understand why, basically, is that it is a really catchy album, but I can see why it didn't connect with people, I mean, I can't argue that.
But that song was a super hit. I didn't remember it until I heard it, and I said, oh yeah, that song, good God, I heard that song every other day on the radio.
Yeah, and I mean, that's a good sign too, in a way, because usually when a song gets overplayed, I mean, like that song Give It Away I was talking about, give it away now, I can't even listen to that anymore. It's like I've heard it too many times. But Aeroplane, I've heard it too many times, and I'll hear it another time. That's fine. It still is really good.
Gets in your head, and then you can't get it out. And half the time through the day, you're saying, damn, I wish I could get that song out of my head. But you can't, because it's so catchy.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the truth, is that, like, if any of these songs start playing in your head later today, it's going to be that one. That's the one. There's no question.
But also, those are the type of songs, shallow as they are, those are the kind of songs that usually make a band big.
Yeah, as far as popularity goes and touring the world and everything, I don't think they missed a beat. But who knows, again, how long they could go on that trajectory necessarily. And I think you can even tell just from the years that they put out an album every 2 years on the dot, basically, since 1982. Then suddenly there was a break, pretty big break between the last album and this one, because they had to find a new guitarist and figure out what they were doing. And then a pretty big break again. We jump all the way to 1999 for the next one. And this was the song that made me think about this at all, that I thought this would be a cool episode to do. Because what happened with this album is, the Dave Navarro, again, he had other bands, plenty of other stuff to do. He wasn't broken up about not being in the Chili Peppers if they were to replace him. He was fine with that. So basically, Frusciante, for all these years, had been battling drugs and having a terrible time. Luckily, didn't die, but I mean, it's just the same terrible stories you hear with any musician who's into drugs. Like, he's lucky that he lived. But he was getting himself cleaned up, and as the story went, I think it was Flea, went to see him, and they were just talking about stuff, and he never thought they would want to take him back because, he left them high and dry. He just effed off. But Flea said, like, hey, have you ever thought about it? Have you thought about coming back to the band? And as the story goes, Frusciante just blushed really heavy and like could barely talk because he was just so overwhelmed that they would actually let him back in the band, kind of thing, and just said, yeah, I would like to be back in the band. So this is their album with John Frusciante back. And again, you can tell right away, like, as much as I like the Dave Navarro album, this is like the real Chili Peppers again. It's like, oh, geez, this is good. Like, this is like, it makes such a big difference to have this guy in the band. And this is the video too that I feel like is the best of all these videos, because all the video is just the four of them in an old rundown car driving through the desert, and they're all beat up. All of them have like been in a fight or whatever. And that's it. It's just these guys who are all beat up, driving along together. So it's a real like simple symbol, but it is just like our band's almost 20 years old at this point. A lot of these other 90s bands are already gone. But not only are we still here, but we've reformed. We got back together. We've been through a bunch of shit, but we're still here together. We're still doing stuff. And it's just so cool. There's this part in this video where Frusciante finds a broken guitar and just starts playing the guitar solo on this guitar with a broken neck. And I love that part because, everyone's always lip syncing in music videos. But I've never seen somebody pretend to play a guitar solo on a guitar that's clearly broken. And it just fits with the whole tone. Like, it's a beautiful song. It's just awesome song. And just the feeling of this video, I just couldn't love it more. It's just awesome. So this is Scar Tissue from 1999.
Okay.
Scar tissue that I wish you saw. Sarcastic Mr. Know-It-All. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view. And push me up against the wall. Young tuck girl in a push-up bra. Falling all over myself to lift your heart and taste your health. 'Cause with the birds I share this lonely view. And with the birds I share this lonely view. And with the birds I share this lonely view. Lost in a bathroom stall, a southern girl with a scarlet draw. I wave goodbye to Ma and Pa, 'cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view. Soft spoken with a broken jaw. Step outside but not to brawl. And autumn sweet with call it fall. I'll make it to the moon if I have to crawl in. With the birds I share this lonely view. And with the birds I share this lonely view. And with the birds I share this lonely view. Mr. Know-It-All. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you, 'cause with the birds I'll share. With the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view. And with the birds I'll share this lonely view.
I know that song too. In fact, to me, that is the song that I couldn't think of any songs at the beginning, but if somebody had said Red Hot Chili Peppers, that's the song I would have connected it to.
Yeah, I was curious. It was a pretty big hit. I was wondering if you would, if you'd know that one. Because, I mean, we could do the expanded version of this with like 30 songs, and you'd probably know a surprising number of them. But yeah, that song, I mean, it's obviously great. And yeah, I love that video, but it was so weird because I haven't seen it in a long time. Thinking back to those days when it came out in 1999, and my perspective then was, like I said, a lot of those 90s bands were already gone. It had already become, nothing against Justin Timberlake and Britney Spears, but they'd taken over the 90s. Like most of the bands I listened to were already done. And that video, it really seemed meaningful at the time of just like, man, Frusciante's back, he's cleaned up, the band's back together, like the Chili Peppers is not dead. They managed to make it. They made it through all this stuff. They've survived. They're still here. They're still going strong. And it was weird to listen to it now in 2024 and be like, dude, that was 25 years ago. And they're still going. You know? Like, it seemed like they'd been around a long time back then. Fuck that. They've been around a long time now. Now it's crazy.
But that song had so much more depth than something like Aeroplane, for example.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that album, I'm not sure if it was their best-selling album, but it may have been. And if not, it was very close to the one with Under the Bridge on it, you know? So, yeah, they were also, like, it's a really good album all around. And you could really feel, like, getting the real band, quote-unquote, back together. You could really feel it. But yeah, like I was saying, it was so crazy back then to think of them as the elder statesmen of my generation's music, you know, like the guys that are still around. Where, yeah, now I watch that video and I'm like, look how young they are. Like, I'm just checking. Anthony Kiedis was born in 1962. So yeah, in 1999, he was not old, you know, not even remotely old. They were all still super young. And that's not how I thought of it at the time. At the time, I was like, yeah, the Chili Peppers, you know, they're the old men who are still going.
62, 72, 82, 92, 2000. He would have been 38 or 39, and you were only 19. So you would have, somebody who was 38 or 39, you would have thought they were old. But now that you're an old guy, you're looking at them. They're the same age as you in this thing, approximately.
The classic thing, yeah. I'm probably the same age now as probably the drummer Chad. He was probably my age then, and yeah, Frusciante was younger than them too. He was still like mid-30s. So now basically we're going to jump way ahead, because that was the point, was that song and that video and that realization that song was 25 years ago when I'm sitting in the back of the bus just watching it on my phone. It kind of blew my mind. It's like I had no idea how much farther that journey had to go, you know? Like, if anything, I guess it kind of had that feeling of like, even if the Chili Peppers did stop right now, they got back together, they put out one more amazing album. They did it, you know? But then they just kept doing it. They put out a bunch more albums with Frusciante. One of them was a double album. But then eventually, again, we're jumping way ahead now, because now I guess what I want to demonstrate is just how they're still going, that they're still here. They're finally going to start looking old. But yeah, basically Frusciante left again, but on better terms this time. Like last time it was very contentious. This time it was just, all right, I came back, we did a bunch of albums, everybody loved them, everything's going great. But I do want to go off and do some more solo albums. So he left on good terms. And he recommended to them this guy, Josh Klinghoffer, who was on some of his solo stuff, who is also excellent. So they have a new young virtuoso guitarist for this next song. And in this song, it's called Dark Necessities. It's from 2016. I don't know if this one will sink in as much the first time. I know for me, it didn't. For me, I was like, it's like, oh, that song's okay. But this is one of those songs that after I listened to it a few times and it sunk in, now it's like one of my, if you made a greatest hits album, you got to put this one on. It's one of the all-time great Chili Peppers songs, and it's just cool that they were still doing that in 2016. This is 17 years later, and it was a big hit too. And just everything is still going awesome in Chili Peppers land. And I don't know specifically if this is what the song is about, but the chorus is, "You don't know my mind, you don't know my kind, dark necessities are part of my design." And I remember I read Anthony Kiedis' biography, and a big part of it was he also had drug problems. And I feel like that's probably what this song is about, of just, the constant struggle, but at some point maybe making a weird peace with it of like, dark necessities, it's part of me, it's just what I am, You don't know what it's like to be me. Eventually you just got to come to some middle ground with this. That's what I believe the song's about. But just a really cool song. And this song, I guess I was going to say it's weird that it has a guitar solo at the end rather than the middle, but I suppose Scar Tissue did too. So in a lot of ways, this Josh Klinghoffer guy, he really was a perfect replacement for John Frusciante. Very similar style. And by the time you get to the guitar solo at the end of this song, I don't know, it just gives me goosebumps. Just a good song. But also, I guess, beyond all that, we can just jump ahead 17 years and see how everyone's holding up. See how it is to not wear a shirt, be in the Red Hot Chili Peppers in 2016.
Okay, here we go.
Coming on to the light of day, we got many moons that are deep at play. So I keep an eye on the shadow smile to see what it has to say. You and I both know everything must go away. What do you say? Spinning out letters on my heart, it's like a bitter light and a touch of dark. You got sneak attack from the zodiac, but I see your eyes spark. Keep the breeze and go, blow by blow and go away. What do you say? Yeah, you don't know my mind, you don't know my kind. Dark necessities are part of my design. Tell the world that I'm falling from the sky. Dark necessities are part of my design. Stumble down to the parking lot. You got no time for the afterthought. The light, ice cream for an astronaut. Well, that's me looking for weed. Turn the corner and find the world at your command. Playing the hand. Yeah, you don't know my mind. You don't know my kind. Dark necessities are part of my design. Tell the world that I'm falling from the sky. Dark necessities are part of my design. Do you want this love of mine? Darkness helps us all to shine. Do you want it? Do you want it now? Do you want it all the time? But darkness helps us all to shine. Do you want it? Do you want it now? Pick you up like a paperback with the track record of a maniac. So I move it in and we unpack. It's the same as yesterday. Anyway we roll, everything must go away. What do you say? Yeah, you don't know my mind, you don't know my kind. Dark necessities are part of my design. Tell the world that I'm falling from the sky. Dark necessities are part of my design.
I think that's a good song. I think it's got a great sound. I think it's got some great lyrics. I found that video very distracting, so that you couldn't really focus on this on the lyrics. Yeah, very distracting. But good. I think that's the kind of song that I couldn't always make out what the words were, but I'd be interested to go and look at the lyrics and see what those actual words were.
It's kind of funny too, looking at all these where, I mean, in those early ones, Taste the Pain and Higher Ground, it was way more just wacky dancing, but in a weird way, like that is just kind of what the Chili Peppers do. Like the Chili Peppers video is take off your shirts and dance around, you know? So at least in that sense, they're keeping it conceptually, conceptual continuity. But yeah, with that video, I didn't even realize till I'd seen it a bunch of times that like all those skateboarders that they show are all women. I was like, oh yeah, I guess they are. That's kind of neat. But it's like, whatever. I'm really not focusing on the video so much. Like you were saying, it's not really the important part. But to be superficial about it, man, Anthony Kiedis in 2016 still looking good. No problem taking your shirt off, that's for sure. So then just to wrap up, the last song from 2022, this is where I feel like finally, Anthony Kiedis is, I'm not going to say looking his age, he still looks amazing, but he's finally in this one. I think you might say like, oh, he is starting to finally look old. But it took this long. It took decades and decades and decades. And what's cool about this song is it's called Black Summer. And again, I have no idea really what the song in total is about, but just the chorus, the two parts of the chorus both stuck in my head. Because the first part is, it's been a long time since I made a new friend. And I think that's just any adult can identify with that. Because, yeah, I don't know, when's the last time I made a legitimate lifelong friend? Like maybe when I moved to Toronto, that was like 14 years ago. Like as an adult, you don't make a lot of new friends. So I like that. Just been a long time since I made a new friend. But then the second line is waiting for another black summer to end. And I don't know what that means to him, but that was COVID times, that's when I was back home. This song, that's why it stuck in my head. It's like, oh man, I'm still here. I still can't leave. I still can't go anywhere. I can't travel. And in hindsight, COVID, was only 3 or 4 years. Like, I feel like, I feel entitled saying like, oh no, I couldn't travel for 4 years. Like, who cares? But at the time, we didn't know when it was going to end. It seemed endless. And that lyric really stuck in my head because, yeah, I'm just waiting for another summer to let's just get past this. Let's just get through this, waiting for another black summer to end. So I thought that was cool. And then beyond all that, I just remember having a moment where I was like, man, it is 2022, and I'm walking around singing a Red Hot Chili Peppers song. What the fuck? So I feel like that ties it back to the scar tissue thing of like, yeah, I thought they were long in the tooth back then. Now they legitimately have been around for like decades and decades and decades, and they're still putting out songs that are relatively large hits, and I'm still singing them. And it's like, good fucking work, Red Hot Chili Peppers. Good job. You did it.
And I would expect he'd be showing his age by now because he'd be 60. You said he was born in 62?
Yeah, and still, I mean, when you say that, he does not look 60, but he looks like a solid 47 in this video. Maybe 46, Like, he still looks amazing. But all the way up to here, all the way up to Dark Necessities, I almost feel like he didn't change. Everybody else in the band is getting older behind him, and he's not. So yeah, that's part of this too. Is like, it's a great little song, and it's just notable that they were still making hit songs, and Frusciante's back in the band again, and everything's still awesome. But yeah, he finally starting to look a little bit old.
Okay, let's check him out.
A lazy rain am I, the skies refuse to cry. Cremation takes its piece of your supply. The night is dressed like noon. A sailor spoke too soon, and China's on the dark side of the moon. Hit me now. Platypus are few, the secret life of Rue, a personality I never knew. Get it on? My Greta weighs a ton, the archer's on the run, and no one stands alone behind the sun. It's been a long time since I made a new friend, waiting on another sailing on a censorship, riding on a headless horse to make the trip.
Wow, that's a powerful song.
Yeah, not bad, eh? Not bad. Yeah, that's the other thing that's cool is it's not like they just fell back on the greatest hits, and it's not like they really never lost a step, you know? Like they're still a good band also on top of just being around.
I mean, shit, in that song you could say COVID, but I think it's much deeper than COVID. But okay, you got viral shit going on in the world. You got environmental shit going on in the world with the big suns in the background. I mean, that was quite effective in this video. You got age kicking in, people dying front and left. Which at his age he'd be noticing it much more, and their age. Wonderful guitar work in that thing. Yeah, that's they've had a whole string of these kind of songs that are quite in depth, and those are the ones that are going to survive. But that's a good song, really good song.
I believe there's even one more album after that too, because it just never stops. But that also made me think I'd forgotten about that till just now. That I remember seeing the album, the CD of the album that song Black Summer was from at the Walmart in Fredericton. I was up at the Northside Walmart and I saw it there, and I was like, oh geez, I didn't even know they still sold CDs. But if you're going to sell a CD, you know, if Walmart's not going to stock stuff people aren't going to buy, they got Chili Peppers. And that made me think that the last time I bought a CD was a Chili Peppers CD, but it was way back in 2002. It was this album, By the Way, that they did. And I went to the King's Place Mall and I bought the CD. So that's neat too. Like the last CD I ever bought was a Chili Peppers album, but if I wanted to buy another one, they're one of the bands that Walmart's still like, yeah, we'll stock that band. I'm like, wow. There's so many different facets you can look at I guess if any band's been around that long. And that's the thing too, is like the Rolling Stones are still touring, right? Like I thought in 1999, like, wow, the Chili Peppers, they're still going. Now in 2024, I'm like, wow, the Chili Peppers are still going. Am I gonna, be walking around the earth in 2037 and be like, damn, hear that new Chili Peppers song?
There's a lot of, though, groups that do go on and on and on and on, but they don't produce anything different or new. They don't grow anymore. It's just the same thing. We just repeat it again and again and again. Well, so to me, you can carry on all you want. But if you're not producing things that are different or that are showing that you are growing a little bit, what's the point? You might as well just give up, have your heyday, and move on. Because some of that others, the stuff I'm talking about, you listen to it and it's like, oh God, it's just a repeat of the same thing over and over and over again. But these guys still seem to be moving ahead and doing new things and different things. They're not stagnating. Yeah,
and I guess to tie it back to the start where I was talking about the bands of that era and who I would guess would survive, part of it could be that the Chili Peppers wasn't part of that movement, the grunge alternative thing. They were clearly different. They were off just making wacky funk songs and stuff. But I definitely greatly underestimated this band because I always liked them. But to me, it was like Taste the Pain, where they're just dancing around. Flea's got day glow green hair and they got the spray painted graffiti, and it's just just a fun, cool, wacky band. And then I guess even like with Breaking the Girl and stuff, it was obvious that they were branching out. But I still was kind of like, yeah, Chili Peppers, they're pretty good, but they're not Nirvana. They're not Alice in Chains. They're not that band. But yeah, it turns out I way underestimated Red Hot Chili Peppers, because not only they were the band, they were the guys who were not only going to keep going, and it's not like they like radically changed. If you buy a Chili Peppers album, there's still going to be a lot of cool funk jams and stuff on it, but they definitely kept turning in new ways, just like, let's turn over a new rock, let's look at this in a new way, and just like that perfect balance, I guess, of keeping everybody happy with what they're doing, but still, yeah, like changing enough. And even that, like you're saying, just the fact that Dark Necessities and Black Summer, like that I'm listening to these songs. I'm not just listening to the old songs from the 90s. Like that's like the hardest thing of all. That's incredible that they're still doing that. And they are. So yeah, cheers to them.
And they're songs that want to, as you say, that you want to listen to again. Perhaps you want to check out the lyrics to find out like what exactly are they saying. But they're not just dwelling on one level, because when music or poetry or any kind of literature like that makes you want to go back and look at it again and say, okay, so what levels are these guys operating on? That's the catch to me of a really successful piece of art or music, anything like that. Something where when you go back to it, you're going to get a little more out of it each time, a little more to think about, just a little more depth. Whereas, some stuff that's out there is pretty superficial. Yeah, it gets one level. That's it. There's nothing more to it. But these songs have they've got a growth pattern to them that there's definitely some thought put into them. And you can interpret them, which I don't know how they would interpret them. But you as the listener can appreciate that there are deeper levels there that you can interpret. And that to me is that's success.
It's interesting too, the kind of like that duality of, that they started off being the band with the socks on their cocks, and like they were that way for a long time, for like the whole 80s pretty much. They were just like, let's get crazy, whacked out, crazy funk band. They weren't like pretentious, they weren't trying to be a big artsy, we're going to live forever band. They were just trying to be a fun, cool band. And it's like interesting that out of that, they can do these really cool songs and these really neat things, but without having to like, I don't know, I think of like Guns N' Roses, where Guns N' Roses started off like, yeah, we're just a cool rock band. And then next thing you know, it's like choirs and 17-minute songs and all this, like, it became absurd. It's like, how is this Guns N' Roses? What is going on here? And it's neat that the Chili Peppers, they still can do really interesting, neat stuff, but they never got pretentious with it. It's still like, we're still just going to be a band that's fun to listen to. So that's kind of cool too. But all right, so yeah, there we go. That was a bit of a different episode, but I'm glad you came along for me on this journey, because yeah, sitting on that bus last night watching Scar Tissue, it all just fell upon my brain where I was like, oh man.
Well, I'm glad I did too, because I was familiar with some of this stuff. I mean, from way, way, way back. But it is interesting to see that, yeah, these guys have really held up. And like here we are, like 40 years later. And yeah, I would say they're still going to carry on. I wouldn't put them in the garbage heap right away and say, okay, that was it for them. No, I think they probably still have a little more in the bucket to pull out.
Yeah, it would actually be kind of interesting if we did the expanded version, if we just went through like 30 songs. Like, I'm sure you probably don't know most of them, but I bet you'd probably know like more than you know that you know.
Yeah.
And it's also kind of a neat test, again, like just as far as the new stuff, because yeah, I guess that is the other common thing. Even if a band survives, it's very uncommon for their new stuff to hold a candle to their old stuff. So just that greatest hits album thing of like, sometimes with like the greatest hits albums, they feel like, oh, let's put on some new songs just because, we feel beholden to. And it's neat that that's not the case with the Chili Peppers. Like, if you made a greatest hits album tomorrow, Black Summer's going on it. And that came out 2 years ago. That's just cool. That's just a cool thing.
Live or die before I give try. It's safe out there and now you're everywhere, just like the sky. You are love, you are the love supreme, you are the right. And when you hear this, you know it's your jam, it's your goodbye. Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost gone. And when the drummer drums is gonna play my song to carry me along. Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost gone. And when the boatman comes to ferry me away to where we all belong, we are crossed when we were feeling lost. It's just a time. Could Terry cried the day her lover died? She recognized, because he gave her life, a real love. It's no surprise. The nights are long, but the years are short when you're alive. Way back when we'll never be again, it was a time. It's gonna catch you, so glad I met you to walk the line. Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost gone. And when the drummer drums, he's gonna play my song to carry me along. Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost gone. And when the boatman comes to ferry me away to where we all belong, come get me. Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost gone. And when the drummer drums is gonna play my song to carry me along. Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost gone. And when the boatman comes to carry me away to where we all belong, let me live so when it's time to die, even the reaper flies. Let me die so when it's time to leave, another sun will rise. Said Like I said, you know I'm almost dead, you know I'm almost